This video is about Thor in Asgard swings Mjolnir with fury, but Tython breaks free from chains. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulls you into the adventure. In the realm of Asgard, where the golden halls of Valhalla shimmer beneath the glistening skies, a storm brewed. Thunder rumbled ominously, echoing through the majestic mountains, while the air crackled with anticipation. At the heart of this celestial kingdom stood Thor, the god of thunder, his fiery red hair billowing in the tempest winds. Clad in armor forged from the remnants of fallen stars, he gripped Mjolnir, his enchanted hammer, with fury etched upon his face. "Today the chains of Tython shall be tested," he roared, his voice resonating through the heavens like a battle cry. For ages, Tython, an ancient titan of unfathomable power, had been shackled deep within the caverns of Yggdrasil, buried beneath the roots of the world tree, hidden from gods and men alike. But whispers of his revival had begun to ripple through the realms, like shadows creeping at twilight. The Aesir assembled before Thor, their expressions a mixture of dread and determination. Odin, the All-Father, stood at the forefront, his one eye glimmering with the wisdom of ages. "We must remain vigilant, Thor. Tython's fury cannot be contained by mere chains, for he once challenged the might of the gods themselves." Loki, the trickster, leaned against a pillar, a mischievous smile playing on his lips. "Ah, but what is a titan without his chains? Perhaps we should simply invite him for a feast and see if he calms down." Thor shot Loki a withering glance. "This is no jest, brother. We will not allow Tython to roam free again. His rage could bring ruin to all realms." The sky darkened as clouds rolled overhead, swelling like a tempestuous sea. Asgard was alive with the whispers of prophecy, foretelling that the titan might soon break free and plunge the world into chaos. Thor swung Mjolnir experimentally, the hammer humming with raw energy, eager for a fight. Suddenly, a tremor shook the ground beneath Asgard, a harbinger of the Titan's awakening. "Prepare yourselves," Thor shouted, rallying the gods and warriors around him. A legion of valiant Einherjar stood at the ready, their weapons gleaming under the dimmed sun, hearts pounding with the thrill of impending battle. In the depths of Yggdrasil, deep beneath the roots, Tython stirred. The chains that had held him captive for millennia rattled violently, the sound echoing like thunder through the land. His mountainous form, brimming with primal energy, was a sight to behold, flesh like granite, eyes burning with a crimson fury that cast an eerie light in the dark. "Free me!" Tython's voice thundered through the caverns, reverberating like a war drum. "I shall reclaim my throne, the gods will tremble before my might." With each pulse of his immense power, the chains began to splinter, ancient magic weakening under the Titan's vengeance. Back in Asgard, Thor felt it, the surge of Tython's awakening. The very air crackled with tension, and the ground beneath them groaned. "We cannot wait any longer. Let us march to the roots of Yggdrasil and confront this monster." He raised Mjolnir high, the weapon glowing as if responding to his call. With a battle cry that shattered silence, the gods joined him, storming through the golden gates of Asgard toward the ancient tree. Warriors of all kinds raced alongside them, fierce Valkyries, resolute warriors, and even sly tricksters, their hearts pounding with the promise of glory. As they approached the roots, a dark shadow loomed over them, blotting out the light. The ground shook violently, and a deafening roar echoed through the valley. Tython emerged, his massive figure breaking through the earth as if it were mere parchment. His fury was palpable, and the very sky ignited in colors of rage. "Fools," he bellowed, the sound cascading over the assembled gods like a tidal wave. "You think your petty chains can bind me? I shall tear Asgard asunder." He swung a colossal arm, and the earth trembled beneath his might, sending shockwaves through the ranks of the Aesir. Thor stepped forward, his heart racing with righteous fury. "You will not lay waste to Asgard, Tython. Your tyranny ends today." With that, he hurled Mjolnir at the Titan, a hammer soaring through the air like a comet. The moment it struck Tython's chest, a brilliant flash erupted, illuminating the dark sky. Tython staggered backward, momentarily stunned by the impact. But fury quickly replaced surprise, and he unleashed a guttural roar that vibrated through every soul present. "You think your magical trinkets can harm a god? I shall rend your flesh from your bones." As the Titan advanced, Thor summoned the storm, lightning crackling around him. The sky exploded into a tempest, fierce winds whipping through Asgard, carrying the cries of the warriors into the heart of the storm. "Stand firm, for honor, for glory," Thor shouted, rallying his comrades as they charged into battle. Loki, ever the cunning observer, took advantage of the chaos. "We need a plan," Thor yelled, dodging a massive fist from Tython that carved a deep trench into the earth. "We cannot defeat him with brute strength alone." "I care not for your schemes, Loki." Thor thundered, swinging Mjolnir once more, the hammer connecting with Tython's jaw. We fight, and we fight until we can fight no more. The battle raged on, a clash of titans and deities. Thunder and lightning intertwined with roars of fury, creating a symphony of chaos that echoed across the realms. The warriors fought valiantly, swords clashing against Tython's impenetrable skin, but the titan was relentless. Your strength is admirable, but it is futile, Tython sneered, plucking an Einhajar from the ground and hurling him aside like a rag doll. Destruction trailed in his wake, and the ground shook with every step he took toward the heart of Asgard. Mighty Valkyries soared above, their wings slicing through the chaos, raining arrows down upon the titan. Aim for his eyes, one shouted, but Tython only roared, deflecting their assault with an irate swipe of his hand. The battlefield was drenched in the scent of desperation and courage. But among the chaos, Thor felt a steely resolve grip his heart. Loki, he called, his voice piercing through the din of battle. Your tricks may serve us yet. We need to weaken him from within. Loki, ever the opportunist, grinned with wild delight. Very well, my brother. I shall distract the Titan, and you shall strike at his heart. He leapt into the fray, weaving between the Titan's massive feet, taunting him with every step. You think you can outsmart me, trickster? Tython growled, turning his fury upon Loki, who danced just out of reach, laughter mingling with danger. I shall crush you like a bug. As Tython lunged, Thor seized the moment. He sprinted forward, Mjolnir crackling with energy, and aimed for the Titan's heart. By the lightning that courses through my veins, I strike for honor, he roared, the hammer glowing brighter than the sun. The moment of truth arrived. Thor swung Mjolnir with all his might, a blinding flash illuminating the battlefield. The force of the blow echoed through Asgard, sending shockwaves that threatened to tear the very fabric of reality. But Tython was relentless, his massive body absorbing the impact, his laugh reverberating through every fiber of Thor's being. Is that all you have? Tython mocked, his eyes glinting with malice. You shall break before I do. But Thor's heart surged with defiance. No, we will not yield. He called upon the storm, summoning the energy of 1,000 thunderclaps, focusing it all into Mjolnir, the hammer now glowing with celestial power. Tython roared, rage boiling within him, but he was not invincible. The chains that had once bound him were now a distant memory, his power uncontested except by the resolve of the gods. The winds howled, and the skies darkened as Thor prepared for one final, desperate strike that would determine the fate of Asgard. In that moment, as chaos reigned, a singular thought pierced through the storm, a whisper of destiny. Would honor prevail, or would tragedy engulf them all? Only the gods could decide the outcome of this legendary battle, one that would echo through the ages. Would destiny, honor, and sacrifice intertwined in a tapestry of mythic proportions? And thus, the stage was set for the clash of titans, as the fate of Asgard hung in the balance, teetering on the edge of eternity. As the storm raged above, Thor, resolute in his determination, stood tall before the titan Tython. The hammer Mjolnir throbbed with an ancient fury, resonating with the power churning within the heart of the storm. In that moment, the skies darkened further, swirling clouds twisting ominously as if the very cosmos held its breath, anticipating the clash of titans. Feel the wrath of thunder. Thor bellowed, his voice like the crack of lightning splitting the sky. He charged forward, the ground shaking beneath his feet as he summoned every ounce of strength. Mjolnir pulsed with divine energy, and for an instant, time seemed to stretch the world around him, dimming, focusing solely on the impending collision. Tython, however, was a force of nature himself. As Thor lunged, the Titan caught sight of the oncoming god, his crimson eyes narrowing. With a contemptuous sneer, he raised a colossal fist, ready to swat Thor aside like an insect. Foolish god, your arrogance will be your undoing, he roared, swinging with all his might. The impact reverberated like a thunderclap. Thor barely dodged, feeling the rush of wind as Tython's fist grazed him, sending him spiraling into the air. For a moment, he hung suspended, the world around him a blur of chaos and color. Then, with a grunt of effort, he righted himself and landed with a thud, stabilizing his footing against the trembling earth. Stand strong, brothers and sisters. Thor shouted, his voice slicing through the chaos. We fight for Asgard, we fight for honor. The Einhajar rallied around him, fierce and determined, their spirits ignited by Thor's unyielding courage. Loki, ever the clever one, darted through the battlefield, his sharp mind racing as he sought ways to undermine the Titan. Thor, there is a crack in the Titan's armor. Just below his left shoulder, he shouted, his eyes sparkling with mischief. If we strike there, we might just tip the scales in our favor. Then we give him a target. Thor growled, determination flaring in his eyes. He gestured to the Valkyries soaring overhead. Fall back and prepare for my signal. He will be distracted. As the wings of the Valkyries swirled above, they began to regroup, arrows glistening with divine energy, ready to rain down upon Tython when the moment was right. With renewed vigor, Thor charged once more, swinging Mjolnir with relentless fury. "Tython, here I am," he yelled, taunting the Titan to focus on him. The Titan, angered by Thor's persistence, turned towards him, his fury palpable. "Your strikes are mere whispers beneath my rage." Tython thundered, lunging forward, his enormous foot crashing down toward Thor. "Mjolnir, heed my call," Thor cried, throwing his hammer with all his strength. The weapon flew true, striking Tython's shoulder with a brilliant flash, sending shockwaves rippling through the air. For an instant, the Titan faltered, a look of surprise shadowing his granite visage. "Now!" Thor shouted, his voice echoing across the battlefield. The Valkyries dove, arrows flying through the air like shooting stars, aiming for the exposed crack in Tython's armor. The arrows struck true, embedding themselves deep within the Titan's flesh, igniting as they released a wave of radiant energy. "Art!" Tython howled, rage and pain intertwining as he staggered backward, clutching his shoulder. "You wretched insects, you dare challenge the might of a Titan?" His voice echoed, reverberating through the mountains, as he swung his massive arms in a fit of rage, sending warriors tumbling. "Focus, brothers!" Thor shouted as he regained his footing. He saw the moment of opportunity. They had momentarily gained the upper hand. Now they needed to press their advantage. "To me!" With Mjolnir in hand, Thor led the Charchain Hajar and Valkyries at his back, hearts ignited with the fire of battle. They surged forward, their war cries merging into a singular roar, a battle hymn echoing against the mountains. Loki, crafty as ever, weaved through the chaos, barely dodging Tython's wrathful blows. "Time for a little mischief," he cackled, as he conjured illusions of himself, creating several duplicates that danced around Tython, taunting him further. "Catch me if you can, you lumbering brute." Tython's eyes flared with rage as he swatted at the decoys, each strike missing its mark. "You think this foolish game will save you?" he bellowed, perplexed and frustrated. "While you were busy playing tag, my brother is preparing for the kill." Loki shouted, darting back towards Thor, who was now charging up for another devastating blow. "Feel the thunder of the gods." Thor shouted, the hammer glowing brighter as he summoned the storm, channeling the very essence of the skies. The air crackled with electricity, and the clouds darkened ominously. With a deafening roar, Thor hurled Mjolnir once more, the hammer spinning through the air, trailing bolts of lightning. It struck Tython's cracked armor, causing a brilliant explosion that illuminated the battlefield, blinding all who dared to look. Tython staggered, his massive frame shuddering from the impact, but within the chaos he roared defiantly. "I am Tython, I will not be vanquished by the likes of you." But Thor felt the shift in the air, a moment of vulnerability. "Now, Einarjar," he cried, rallying the warriors. "Strike us one, for Asgard." The warriors surged forward, their blades glinting, a frenzy of divine strength bolstered by their unwavering resolve. As they charged, a sense of unity enveloped them, each warrior fueled by the spirit of the gods. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for honor, for each other, and for the legacy of Asgard. The Titan bellowed, swinging his massive hands to fend off the oncoming horde, but they were relentless. Each strike resonated with the fury of warriors who had fought and died for their people. The clash of steel and flesh echoed through the valley, a cacophony of defiance against Tython's onslaught. Yet, in the midst of the chaos, a shadow loomed. Tython's eyes blazed with malicious intent as he locked on to Thor once again. "You think you can defeat a Titan? I will tear your world apart." With a sudden surge of adrenaline, Thor realized that they were losing ground. "Loki," he shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. "We need to weaken him further. This may be our only chance." "Very well, brother," Loki replied, his voice steady despite the chaos. "I have a plan, follow my lead." With a flick of his wrist, he conjured a whirlwind of illusions scattered across the battlefield to confuse Tython once more. The Titan, now surrounded by a mirage of figures, snarled in frustration. "Which one is real? I shall crush them all." He swung wildly, his fists carving deep gorges into the earth, sending warriors flying. "Now, Thor!" Loki shouted, his voice cutting through the din. "Strike true!" With renewed determination, Thor focused on the Titan's heart, the chasm in his defenses widening. He threw Mjolnir with all his might, channeling every ounce of thunder and fury he could muster. The hammer soared through the air, glowing with an intensity that could blind even the most steadfast of warriors. The impact resonated like a celestial bell tolling for the end of days. Tython staggered, the ground shaking beneath him as Thor summoned the full force of the storm. "Feel the power of the storm," he cried, lightning arcing across the battlefield. In that moment, the skies exploded with a storm of fury, and the sky itself seemed to weep for the fate of Asgard. But amidst the chaos, a cry rang out, an anguished roar from Tython as he stumbled back, the power of the gods finally striking true. "This cannot be." Tython gasped, his voice a mix of disbelief and rage. "I will not be defeated." But the gods were resolute, and together they surged forward, a tidal wave of strength and unity. They struck, their motivations intertwined, forging a path through the despair. In that defining moment, Thor raised Mjolnir high, lightning crackling around him as he rallied the might of the storm. With one final bellow, he swung the hammer toward the Titan's heart, channeling all the energy of Asgard into a single, decisive blow. The roar of thunder echoed across the realms, a clash of divinity against the primal. Tython's eyes widened, realization dawning as the hammer struck true. A blinding light erupted, enveloping the battlefield in a brilliant glow. As the dust settled, silence enveloped the valley. The titanic form of Tython lay motionless, the fury extinguished, his reign of terror brought to an end. The Einherjar stood in awe, their hearts pounding with the thrill of victory, while Thor, breathless and battered, fell to his. In the aftermath of the cataclysmic clash, Asgard stood shrouded in an eerie silence, the air thick with the remnants of battle. Thunderheads loomed overhead, reflecting the tumult of emotions coursing through the hearts of the gods and warriors. The colossal form of Tython lay sprawled upon the earth, still and lifeless, a testament to the fury of Mjolnir and the collective strength of the Aesir. Thor, trembling from the exertion of his power, slowly approached the Titan's fallen body. His heart raced, not just from the battle, but from the weight of the victory that was both glorious and tragic. The sheer magnitude of the Titan's life force had been a disturbing reminder of the thin line between creation and destruction. "Is it truly over?" he whispered, kneeling beside the Titan, his brow furrowed with doubt. For a fleeting moment, a flicker of life pulsed through Tython's massive form, and Thor's heart raced. Could it be that the Titan still held power? But as he reached out, intertwining his fingers with the celestial hammer, he felt a ripple, a final surge of energy, and then nothing. Tython lay silent, the echo of his wrath fading into the realms that had trembled beneath his fury. "Thor!" A voice broke through the stillness, drawing his gaze. It was Loki, his eyes wide, yet glistening with a mixture of fear and admiration. "We have triumphed, but the cost is heavy." Thor rose, facing his brother. "Heavy indeed," he replied, the weight of the fallen Titan's existence hanging in the air between them. "But at what price? We've slain a Titan, yet I feel no joy in this victory." Loki stepped closer, his expression shifting to one of understanding. "You bear the burden of a hero. Dear brother, victory is not merely about conquest, it is the lives we protect and the lives sacrificed." He looked past Thor, surveying the battlefield littered with fallen warriors, both Aesir and Einherjar, their brave souls forever immortalized in the annals of history. The sight struck Thor with the force of a thunderbolt, shattering his contemplative haze. "We must honor them," he declared, his voice resolute. "Their lives were not lost in vain. We will build a monument, a sanctuary for those who fought bravely today." As he spoke, a voice echoed from the shadows, a soft but firm tone that sent chills down Thor's spine. It was Frigga, the wise and loving queen of Asgard, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "My son, they deserve our respect. Yes, but we must also be wary. Tython was but the beginning, a harbinger of darker forces lurking beyond the veil." Thor turned to face his mother, the weight of her words heavy like the storm clouds above. "What do you mean, mother? The Titan is vanquished. Surely nothing else can threaten us now." Frigga stepped forward, her expression grave. "The chains that bound Tython were forged to contain a great evil, Thor. With his release, we have awakened something far more sinister. The balance has shifted, and the fabric of our reality is fraying." A collective gasp spread through the gathered warriors, and Loki crossed his arms, his brow furrowed in thought. Tythons are Titans, yes, but they are also the keepers of secrets. If he was meant to guard something, what lies beyond this prison? The ground suddenly trembled, a resonance that echoed through their bones. Thor tightened his grip on Mjolnir as the roar of distant thunder filled the skies. "We must prepare," he shouted, rallying the gods and warriors alike. "Whatever is coming, we will face it as one." As if in answer to his call, the skies darkened, swirling clouds pregnant with malevolence. From the depths of the chasm left by Tython's fall, ancient energies coiled and slithered, shadows darker than the night itself creeping forth with a sentience that chilled the heart. "Stand ready," Thor commanded, raising Mjolnir to the darkening heavens. "The storm is not finished with us yet." With a deafening crack, a bolt of lightning cleaved the sky, illuminating the emergence of monstrous figures from the depths of the abyss. Eerie shapes manifested a serpentine beast with scales that flickered like dying stars, their eyes fierce and unyielding. They roared with hunger, a primal cry that reverberated through Asgard, drowning the last remnants of hope. "By Odin Esbjerg," Loki exclaimed, eyes wide with disbelief. "What sorcery is this?" "There is no time for questions," shouted Thor, determination igniting his spirit once more. "We fight for our home, we fight for the fallen." He charged forward, Mjolnir crackling with energy, a beacon of defiance against the encroaching darkness. As he swung the hammer, arcs of lightning erupted, striking down the first wave of monster serpents. The creatures recoiled, but their anger swelled, and they swarmed Thor with a feral ferocity. From his side, Valkyries descended like avenging angels. Their wings beat fiercely against the wind, arrows raining down upon the advancing horde. "For the fallen," they cried, their voices harmonizing with the fury of battle. Thor fought at the front, each swing of Mjolnir a declaration of resistance. He felt the surge of energy coursing through him, the spirits of the fallen lending him strength. But the tide was relentless. A monstrous serpent lunged, teeth bare, jaws wide enough to swallow Thor whole. In a moment of instinct, he sidestepped, the creature narrowly missing him. "Aim for the heart," he shouted, split-second decisions guiding the Einherjar as they rallied to his side. Loki dashed through the chaos, wielding his cunning wit. "Distract them, for I will weave a spell to bind them." As the god of mischief conjured illusions that danced mockingly before the creatures, Thor unleashed Mjolnir once more, striking a serpent low, its shriek echoing in the air like a warning. "By the grace of the gods," Thor shouted, "we will not falter." But then chaos erupted anew. Tython's chains, shattered but not forgotten, glinted ominously in the storm's light. With a deafening crash, a massive piece of the Titan's prison shattered, revealing a gateway to the unknown, a portal swirling with darkness, pulsing with the energy of countless lost souls. A haunting voice emerged from the abyss, reverberating through the battlefield. "Release me, and I shall grant you power beyond measure," it beckoned, seductive and malevolent. "Join me, and together we will rewrite the fates of Asgard." "That?" Thor roared, his heart pounding. "We will not be swayed by your dark promises." Yet as he rallied the warriors, fear gripped their hearts. The shadows surged, a wave of despair crushing against their resolve. The ominous voice continued, weaving through their minds like a serpent, promising untold power and glory in exchange for loyalty. "Thor!" Loki shouted, his voice cutting through the encroaching darkness. "We have to sever its influence. Focus. We must unite our strength." With a fierce determination, Thor steadied himself, Mjolnir pulsing in response to his call. "Together," he shouted, his voice resonating with commanding authority. "We shall stand united against the darkness." As one, the gods and warriors formed a circle around him, their spirits intertwining as they summoned the essence of Asgard, honor, valor, and sacrifice. The winds howled, and the skies trembled as a radiant light began to emanate from their unity, pushing back against the encroaching shadows. "Feel the might of the gods," Thor declared, raising Mjolnir high, the hammer crackling with the combined energy of Asgard itself. "We are eternal, we will not be broken." With a mighty swing, he hurled Mjolnir into the swirling portal, where it exploded in a blinding flash, a burst of divine light that illuminated the darkness for an eternal moment. The shadows recoiled, shrieking as the light surged forth, banishing the darkness back into the abyss. In that climactic moment, the creatures faltered, and the tide turned. The grip of despair loosened, and the warriors surged forward, ignited by the pure force of their shared determination. The serpentine beasts fell before them like leaves in autumn, defeated by the resilience of Aesir warriors alike. A roar erupted from Thor's chest as he led the final charge, and Mjolnir raised high, a symbol of hope and honor. "For Asgard," he cried, and their voices unified, echoing through the realms. As the last remnants of darkness faded, silence fell once more, but it was a silence heavy with reverence. The battlefield lay strewn with the remnants of battle, both the fallen warriors of Asgard and the dark creatures that had risen against them. Breathing heavily, Thor surveyed the scene, his heart heavy with loss yet filled with an unwavering resolve. He knelt among the fallen, feeling the weight of their sacrifices. "We shall rebuild," he whispered, reaching for Mjolnir as he stood, determination igniting his spirit. For them and for... The echoes of battle still reverberated in the hollow spaces of Asgard, tinged with an unsettling silence that hung heavy like the storm clouds above. Thor stood alone, catching his breath, blood and sweat mingling on his brow. With each heartbeat, the memories of the fierce struggle against Tython surged within him. Yet, even now, in the aftermath of victory, an ominous weight settled upon his shoulders. Victory, yes, he muttered under his breath, steeling himself against the chill in the air. But at what price? As he surveyed the battlefield, the haunting faces of fallen warriors stared back at him, brave Einherjar who had fought valiantly beside him. Their lives, extinguished in the name of honor, made his heart ache. He knelt beside the first he recognized, a fierce warrior named Ragnar, who had once saved Thor from a ravenous beast in the frozen tundras of Jotunheim. "Forgive me, my brother," Thor whispered, laying a hand upon Ragnar's still form. "I should have protected you." The hammered energy from Mjolnir pulsed in his grip, a reminder of the storm he had conjured. But as he clutched the hammer tighter, he felt it trembling, as if resonating with the fragility of the world around him. A flicker of movement caught his eye, and he turned sharply. Frigga stepped forward, her ethereal presence shimmering beneath the dim light. "My son," she said, her voice soft yet unwavering. "Your heart is heavy, and rightly so, but the battle is far from over. Mother, Tython is defeated." Thor replied, frustration bubbling within him. "We should celebrate, not mourn, But Frigga raised a hand, silencing him with a look of wisdom that could rival Odin's. "You do not yet understand, Thor. The chains that bound Tython were forged to keep something far worse at bay. In his death, we may have unleashed a greater darkness." Thor's heart sank at her words. "What darkness?" Suddenly, the very ground beneath them trembled violently, and a familiar, guttural roar echoed through the air, sending shivers down Thor's spine. "That," Frigga breathed, her voice barely a whisper, "is the sound of horror that has been awakened." From the chasm left by Tython's fall, shadows writhed like tendrils of smoke. They coiled and twisted, taking form, revealing monstrous silhouettes that clawed their way into the light. Serpentine beasts emerged, their scales shimmering with an otherworldly glow. Beasts bred from nightmares, animated by the very darkness that Tython had once contained. "We must fight," Thor shouted, raising Mjolnir above his head. "Asgard will not fall again." With a roar, he charged into the fray, the spirit of the warriors igniting within him. Lightning crackled around him, illuminating the battlefield as he swung Mjolnir with fury. The first beast lunged at him, fangs bare, but Thor sidestepped, smashing the creature's skull with a thunderous impact. It fell, writhing in agony, its death cry blending with the howling winds. "Rally to me," he bellowed, his voice booming like thunder. "For honor, for glory." As the warriors rallied around him, the Valkyries descended from above, their wings slicing through the air with grace and power. Arrows rained down like a celestial storm, each shaft imbued with divine energy as they struck true, piercing the scaled hide of the serpents and igniting the air with bursts of light. "Strike for the heart," the Valkyrie cried, her voice piercing through the chaos. "We must aim for their weakness." Loki, ever the cunning trickster, darted among the carnage. With quicksilver wit, he conjured illusions that danced around the beasts, drawing their ire. "Oh, dear serpents, can you not catch me? You reek more sluggish than a frost giant after a feast," he taunted, his laughter mingling with the chaos. Thor grinned despite the dire situation, knowing Loki's wit often turned the tide of battle. "Keep them distracted, brother," he shouted, charging forward as he unleashed another devastating blow with Mjolnir. The battle raged, a maelstrom of lightning, claws, and the ferocious will of the gods and warriors. Yet, even amidst the glory of combat, a gnawing dread filled Thor's heart. For deep within him, he sensed that this was only the beginning. As one beast fell to his hammer, another lunged forth. A massive serpent, more formidable than the rest, rose from the darkness, its eyes blazing with hatred. It slithered forward with a speed that defied its size, crashing into the ranks of the Aesir with a vengeance. "Thor," the voice cried from behind. It was Sif, her golden hair whipping in the wind. "We need to regroup, they're re-overwhelming us." "No," he shouted, determination igniting within him. "We will not cower, we will fight until our last breath." But as he turned to face the oncoming horde, his heart plummeted. The Titan's chains, now shattered remnants scattered across the battlefield, glimmered ominously, and from them, a dark energy coalesced, a swirling vortex that pulsed with malevolence. "Join me, Thor," the haunting voice echoed from the abyss. "Your strength is admirable, but futile against the darkness that awaits. Embrace it, and together we shall reign supreme." "Never," Thor roared, shaking his head defiantly. "We will not be led astray by your lies." But the shadows continued to writhe, and they began to take form, faceless horrors, manifestations of despair and dread, swelling like a tempest around Thor and his warriors. The air crackled with tension, as if the very fabric of reality strained against the darkness. "Focus, Aesir." Frigga shouted, her voice rising above the tumult. We must unite against this force, channel the essence of Asgard. Thor felt the weight of her words settle within him. Together, he shouted, raising Mjolnir high, throwing the energy of the storm in the spirits of his fallen brothers and sisters. We are Asgard, we shall prevail. The warriors rallied, standing shoulder to shoulder, a wall of defiance against the encroaching horror. They joined hands, their spirits intertwining, forming a circle of unity around Thor. In that moment, the darkness recoiled, sensing the strength of their bond. With a battle cry, Thor unleashed the full force of Mjolnir, channeling the tempest within him. Lightning arced across the sky, illuminating the shadows and striking with defying fury. Feel the might of Asgard, he declared, as the hammer soared through the air, a beacon of hope and power. The darkness screamed, and the ground shook violently as the hammer struck the earth. A blinding flash erupted, engulfing the battlefield in a purifying light that cut through the shadows. The serpents shrieked in agony, their forms disintegrating into wisps of smoke carried away by the winds. But just as Thor felt hope surge within him, a monstrous roar echoed across the valley, deeper and more thunderous than before. From the depths of the abyss, a greater creature surged forth, its form larger than Tython's, a nightmarish amalgamation of rage and fury. Fools, it bellowed, its voice like an earthquake. You think you can vanquish the darkness? I shall consume your souls. Thor felt the dread wrap around him like a vice, and he gripped Mjolnir tighter, summoning the storm once more. We will not falter, he declared, his voice ringing with defiance. But as he swung the hammer, the creature advanced, its eyes blazing with a primal fury that sent terror rippling through the ranks. The beast lunged forward, teeth bared, ready to strike. Thor. Sif shouted, her voice a threat of urgency. We must retreat, it is too powerful. Never, he roared, charging into the fray. For every soul lost, we will fight back tenfold. With each swing of Mjolnir, Thor felt the echoes of his ancestors, a chorus of warriors long gone who stood beside him in spirit. He could almost hear their voices, urging him forward. Stand tall, Thor, we are with you. And so, he pressed on, his resolve ignited by the weight of his legacy. For honor, for glory, he shouted, pushing back against the tide of despair. Mjolnir crackled with energy, the embodiment of the storm, the hope of Asgard, and the will of its people. But as he swung again, the beast closed in, claws outstretched, ready to devour him whole. In that harrowing moment, Thor felt the weight of destiny shift, realizing that the battle was not just for Asgard, but for every realm that teetered on the brink of darkness. Together, he cried, the warriors forming a wall of defiance at his back, a shimmering shield against the encroaching void. With one